Hello, or should I say annyeonghaseyo, to the newly facelifted Hyundai Tucson. This was launched earlier this year, but here's a quick question. Have you actually seen one of this before? I haven't, and I've been driving around with it for a week, and this is the only one I've seen. And this actually does beg a question, because with all the Chinese competition around from brands starting with B, C and J, where did Hyundai go? Because back in the early 2010s, we actually had quite a number of Hyundais on the road. And it just seemingly all disappeared. So let's try to use this review to try to understand why it disappeared. But for one, it's not because of how it looks, because it actually looks quite good. Now, this shape has actually been around worldwide since late 2020. There has been a facelift, and this is the facelift, but minor changes aside from that original look, you can't really tell that this design is 5 years old, because even amid all the nice new Chinese metal coming around, this still stands out from the crowd with its sharp lines, creased surfaces, and really distinct light signatures, because there are a total of 8 DRLs here, which is more than most cars have actually. And nice duotone alloys, sleek roofline, and I think the rear is where it gets actually really cool. Because the taillight signature is just really unique, and in the white contrasting against the smoked taillights, it looks really cool at night. And stepping inside from the striking exterior, there is also no reason to not consider this Tucson. Okay, fine. Compared to the other Chinese cars, it does lack a bit of kit, especially in this mid-spec 1.6 variant. There is no panoramic sunroof. You have twin TFT dials with this tiny screen here. And from those fully digital displays in your Chinese cars with your massive screens, this does feel a bit of a downgrade. But honestly, having sat in it for the whole week, this is actually a really nice place to be. For one, material quality for this South Korean imported Hyundai is actually quite good. And although there is no fancy screen here, having lived with this for a week, I actually prefer this because the speedo is right there front and center, nice clear displays, and also this UI for the infotainment is one of the slickest there is. It is easy to use, and Android Auto just connects. What more is that, for Android Auto, the buttons here, the physical buttons here, actually work as intended. Maps work, media goes back to media here. So it's really nice that these are just little quality of life features that I've incorporated into the general living with the car. And it's also nice to see that little things like how the light switches show up on the display and how the wiper switches show up on the display also. It's just these little things that make life easier with living with the Hyundai Tucson. And for the eagle eye among you will have probably noticed that there is no Hyundai logo in front here, because there is instead 4 dots, which represent H in Morse code. This is actually something that has been incorporated first in the Ioniq EVs, and now it has made its way onto the wider Hyundai model lineup as well. Now, on the road with the Hyundai Tucson, I think for one, I would like to touch on the space first. This is a big car, and there is, of course, a lot of space inside. This is the long wheelbase Tucson that we share with North America, and rear space is cavernous. I fit 3 up inside in the rear, and everyone was comfortable even on the longer journeys. One particular comment was that the rear air vents are actually blowing up because they're sufficiently high up on the center armrest. And the seats recline, which adds to the comfort of the passengers behind. Speaking of behind, the boot is also massive. It swallows everything and anything you need for a family. But back up front, here is where there is good and bad. Good is that this car drives fantastically. Compared to all the Chinese cars that have come about, you do understand why that the established Korean and Japanese marques are still a little bit ahead in this department. Steering is nice and weighty when you need it, light when you want it. This is adjusted through the drive mode selector. Brakes are a little bit on the soft side, but you do get used to it. Comfort seats, I do find the seats do not fit my body shape very well, but that is just a personal complaint. The others who have driven this car said they were all fine with it. Maybe it's just because I'm a bit skinny and a bit too tall. Power. It does get a little bit of time to get up and go, but once it goes, it really does go. It's not bad. DCT, gearbox, 7-speed. It's a bit slow at times, but overall, the powertrain is really not bad. One of the biggest upsides though for this Tucson is actually just how refined it is. Up to a hypothetical 160, it is still stable and more importantly quiet. And for those who appreciate anything, and for those who appreciate sound, even this bass speaker setup, this unmarked speaker setup, is actually already fantastic. It's better than all those branded systems that come from other cars that I will not mention now. And this is a generally comfortable car to be in. I have been in it for over 12.5 hours driving this throughout the Chinese New Year week, and I have really no complaints. In fact, I had the CR-V the week before, and I would actually take this over the CR-V as a daily driver just because of how everything just neatly integrates into daily life. From the screen, to how it drives, to how it looks. This is something to consider. But this is probably where it falters a bit and why we do not see this on the road, because the elephant in the room is that this Tucson in this mid-spec costs 164,888, which compared to the equivalent Chinese offerings is a good chunk more. Even compared to the equivalently spec CR-V, this is still on the high side. And from experience, there's still also a stigma with the Hyundai badge. So with no price advantage and a lack of brand presence, it is very hard for anyone to, one, know that this car exists and actually pay the money. Which is a shame, because having realized how good this car is, this is something to definitely consider. And with Hyundai now giving some quite good deals, I would not discount this out so far. Though it is worth adding that this has a sister car, the Kia Sportage, and that is now giving some really good prices. So if you could mind the look of that car, which I personally find it quite attractive, it is also possibly something to consider. So for SUVs, I know the Chinese cars are the cool thing at the moment, but don't discount the Koreans just yet. This is automaker signing out.